What is going down, you guys? It is your buddy old pal old friend Bearded Retro 84 coming at you once again. Today I want to talk about my top 5 Nintendo franchises that kind of disappeared and aren't around anymore that I would love to see make a comeback on the Nintendo Switch. Now, as you guys all know, I absolutely love my Nintendo Switch. Between my Switch and my PlayStation 4, that is about 80% of my gaming that I do. And I have a very small, minuscule collection for it of a whole whopping 7 games, but they're good enough to keep me coming back over and over and over again. And these games, some of these games I have more experience with than others, and some of them are some of my favorite franchises of all time. So I think that if Nintendo brought them to the Switch, it could relaunch a whole new level. So without further ado, these are the top 5 franchises I want to see brought back. Most of them probably won't happen because some of them I don't think Nintendo has the rights to anymore, but I'm not 100% positive on it. Anyway, number 5, we've got the Conduit on the Nintendo Wii. Now, my definition of a franchise, if there was ever a sequel, so if there was ever 2 or more game, in my humble opinion, that's a franchise. The Conduit got 2 games put out on the Nintendo Wii. I own the first one. I do not have the second one. I don't have a whole lot of experience with this game, especially the campaign mode. Most of my experience was going over to a buddy of mine's house and playing it online back in the days. And it's a futuristic first-person shooter where you're fighting aliens and like secret agents and stuff like that. Like I said, I've never really dwelled a whole lot into the storyline, but I remember it being a lot of fun and just looked amazing and something that I always remembered wanting to see more of. So yeah, definitely the Conduit. When Nintendo announced that Bandai and Namco were working on a first-person shooter franchise, obviously everybody thought Metroid Prime 4, which it was confirmed that is Metroid Prime 4. But this did cross my mind a little bit, like, yeah, what if it's Conduit 3 coming out? And I was, a little excited, but Metroid Prime 4, I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. Number 4 is a game that the last one I think we got was on the Wii. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that version sucked. But we've got Super Monkey Ball. Now, some of these I own more than just one copy of the game, but I'm just showing one off so you can kind of get a general idea. If you have never played Super Monkey Ball, the main adventure story mode, it's kind of like you're a monkey in a ball and you have to kind of make it through this maze thing without falling over the edges, kind of like a Marvel Madness-esque style thing, except much more modern. But I mean, the real charm for this game was the mini games. You had mini games where you can play tennis, where you go off a ramp and you jump off and you open your ball and it's like a parachute hang glider type thing and you're trying to land on a platform. It's got a golf one where you swing your golf club from inside your ball, but your whole ball shoots across. So, I mean, that's such a big charm of it, is the mini games. Mini games are a lot of fun. This is something I could see doing very, very well on the Switch because you can have, you can set up just the little tablet and you can have 2 little piece of Joy-Con and play against somebody anytime, anywhere. And the multiplayer mini games, that's what made this game so phenomenal. And yeah, the storyline's a lot of fun too, I'm not going to lie. I did enjoy it. But mini games, it's where it's at. Could definitely be a huge hit on the Switch. Next one is easily one of my favorite racing franchises of all time. I'm not the biggest race fan in the world, but there are some that I just thoroughly enjoy. Mario Kart being my personal favorite. But this one is close second. And that is Wave Race. Get a little picture of that. Wave Race, I mean, essentially it's jet ski racing. But they did it so well with all the mechanics and stuff like that. And how you can jump over a wave and scoop down under the water. And how to tilt it just right without falling over. Like, the physics of the game were there, and it just made it such a joy to play. I have never been on a jet ski before, at all. I have no idea how they work in real life, but, like, this still did not stop me from loving this game so much. Nintendo 64 is easily one of probably the 10 games I would keep for my Nintendo 64. GameCube one is phenomenal also. I even have the Game Boy one, which it's not as good, obviously, because it's the Game Boy, but I mean, even that I still play quite often. So, yeah, definitely Wave Race, easily one of the greatest racing franchises in Nintendo history, and desperately deserves a comeback. Next up, we've got a game franchise that, at the time, for the one on the Nintendo 64 and the couple that were put on the GameCube, was just so phenomenal because it was something you just weren't seeing anything like it very much. And what you were seeing of it was so subpar to this franchise and what they were able to do. But we got Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Now, I know there's so much flack with Star Wars games lately because they are just not living up to the potential they can live up to. You know, they are not in the glory days, such as on the GameCube and on the Nintendo 64. Few exceptions since then, but for the most part, it's just throwing the name out there and people are going to buy it, and a lot of times hating it. Look at the Battlefront games. People just were expecting so much hype and so much potential, and then it just flopped, and nobody gives a damn about them. Yes, they sold great, but most people aren't liking them. But with Rogue Squadron, it is completely different. Instead of walking around and shooting at people, it is all in different ships and shuttles and crafts in the Star Wars universe. Some parts go through movie scenes, other parts go through the extended universe from books or comics or cartoon or whatever the hell else have you. Maybe not cartoon so much, but you know what I mean. And it worked. This was like the thing, aside from Shadows of the Empire, it was like the Star Wars game to have back in the day. Same with the GameCube ones. That kept the franchise going, and there have been 3, and all of them have been phenomenal. Some of the greatest flying slash shooter slash whatever the hell you want to call it. Just, it works. It works. This needs to come back. I'm sure they probably don't have the rights for this franchise anymore, or, you know, due to legal issues, they want to go into other spots. But if Rogue Squadron came back, that could be like in your top 5 best sellers of Switch games, in my opinion. I think it could just take off and soar, and it might even bring even more people into the Switch. Because, I mean, you throw this in with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, boom. That could be people's whole collection, and they would be happy as hell. And number 1. You guys are not going to be surprised by this, because I have said that the first one is my favorite video game of all time. And it's funny, because I'm doing this, you know, I'm thinking about all these games that I could put on this list, and I'm thinking about how to do the video, what to say, etc., etc., and I actually see that this was leaked as a possibility for Nintendo's E3 announcements. That game, Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion. This is the first game I had for my Nintendo GameCube. And it was the only game I had for the first several months. Probably 5 or 6 months. This was the only game I had. I played through it. I beat it. I got a crappy house. I played through it again. I got a better house. I've played this game 5, 6 times maybe, and I still love it to this day. I will still pop it in and play it from time to time whenever my GameCube is hooked up. But I mean, you've got this one, which is phenomenal. I do like it better than the 3DS version, which I might be one of few people that do, but this game is just so great. And the 3DS one, it expanded even more. It did add more stuff that did have aspects that made it more enjoyable. But for me, part of it is the nostalgia for Luigi's Mansion. If we get a Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch, that could be the last game I ever get in my life, and I will be happy. Because Luigi's Mansion is amazing. I know my copy's in really rough shape with the big old rip across there, but whatever. This is the same one I've had since my childhood, when GameCube first came out. So I was 15, 16 years old. So, not even childhood, teenagehood. But, God, Luigi's Mansion, I don't get I hear people talking crap about this, and I just do not get it. It is so wonderful, and a big part of it is Luigi is my favorite video game character of all time. Big part of that was starting. I was the youngest of two children. When we got our first NES, my sister, she always got to be first player. I always got to be second player in Super Mario World. Well, if you're second player, who are you stuck with? Luigi. So, you know, almost 30 years later, 26, 27 years later, whatever it was, Luigi's still my guy, which is why I will never stop talking about how much I love this game. And if we get on the Switch, especially holding it tablet portable, like if you can get a special mode in portable, in handheld mode, I think it could be like a no-brainer, like just the Switch is made for a game like that. Kind of like you have on the 3DS version where you hold it up and you can aim and look around in certain ways. You can do that on the Switch, and I think it would be phenomenal. Anyway, guys, I'm going to cut the video short because I know you guys don't like hearing me ramble for too terribly long, but those are my top 5 games. Gaming franchises, I'm sorry about that I would love to see make a comeback for the Switch. So, anyone from Nintendo, if you're watching, let's make it happen, and I will love you even more than I already do. Anyway, guys, if you like what you saw, make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, let me know some stuff you might like to see coming out on the Switch, and make sure to subscribe. We'll catch you guys later. Peace!